Okay, good morning and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube, Iyun Benzion. Today's daf Kesubos Mempet 49. The Mishnah here talks about an interesting thing. We're going to learn later on in the Masechta that until 6 years old, your children are 6 years old, you have an obligation to feed them. However, after 6 years old, it's not so clear. So the Gemara wanted to know, our Mishnah seems to say on Mem Tet and Aleph, what does it say? It says, Bito. That's what it says. He's not obligated to feed his daughter. So the Gemara asks why his daughter. So the Gemara basically concludes, according to all the opinions, there's no chiyuv monetarily. You can't garnish his wages. You can't freeze his bank account. You can't beat him up. He monetarily has no commitment to, after the 6 years old, to give to his children, both his son and his daughter, according to all the opinions in the Gemara. So the Gemara says, "B'ushay hiskinu on Mem Teram and Beis, she Adam zanes banav es benosav chen tanim." Chazal saw that midaraisa he has no obligation to feed his children. They saw it was necessary. They can't work for themselves. 7 years old, they can go work. So they're masakin and usha at takana that midarabanan financially he's responsible to pay for them whatever they need until bar bat mitzvah. It's derabanan. It's not midaraisa. Why the Torah didn't obligate it is hard to understand. And then the Gemara asks, is the halacha like in Usha? It sounds like Usha Eskinu, they made a takana. You can't mevatel another takana unless you have a beis din that's greater b'chachma of a minyan, like the Gemara says in the Megillah. So, if they made a takana, they made a takana. The way Art Scroll learns the Gemara, maybe the way Rashi learns the Gemara brings 3 incidents where people were humiliating people that didn't feed their children, or persuading them verbally. The fact they didn't beat them physically or garnish their wages or freeze their bank account, which they could have done, shows that monetarily there's no obligation. And the halacha is not like Usha. And Usha was a wrong takana. I don't know, they were mevatel the takana Usha. The Gemara says that Usha hiskinu. So that's what the maskan of the Gemara seems to be, that it's wrong, that after 6 years old, even midarabanan, there's no financial obligation to help your children. There is a mitzvah according to Reb Meir or Rabbi Yehuda. There's a good advice, or maybe there's a mitzvah ben adam lamakom to do it. It's a good thing to feed your children, but financially, you can't bring someone to the base and obligate him to feed his children after the age of 6 years old. So the problem is that it was a takana and usha, and there's an aleph here. It seems like a psak halacha, but usha iskinu. So how do you explain the Gemara that the Gemara's maskana is that you just embarrassed the guy, but he has no obligation? So I like to suggest over here that yes, of course, the Gemara is a usha iskinu. The made takana and usha. Midarabanan. What does it say? She Adam zanes banav benosav chen tanim. When they're tanim, until 12 and 13 years old, 12 for a girl, 13 for a boy, you have to feed them midarabanan financially. When the Gemara is hilchas hakavase and hilchas hakavase, and the Gemara brings proofs where there was verbal persuasion or even humiliation in public to force them, to make them pay for their children. I think the Gemara is talking about over the age of bar mitzvah and bat mitzvah. For example, like the Gemara says, one of the examples is you humiliate him and you say, even a raven wants to feed his children, but you don't want to feed your children. You humiliate him. You say you got up in front of shul and in front of everybody, right? Instead of a rabbi giving a drasha before Musaf, in Eretz Yisrael, they have someone get up and humiliate people who don't feed their children. You humiliate him, right? You're humiliating him. So I think it's talking, the Gemara says, so the Gemara asks, what kind of humiliation is this? Even a raven doesn't feed his children. So the Gemara says, yes, a raven does feed his children. The older children, when they're black, he recognizes them. He feeds them. When they're white and they're young, he doesn't feed them. This is my personal perspective. I have a lot of young children. They're nice. It's a bracha. It's a beautiful bracha. There's so many people out there that unfortunately have a difficult time having children. They have bonei olam, different, it's really expensive to do these treatments. It's grueling. Everyone else, all your friends have children. It's very hard for people that are not able to have children so easily. Feel bad for those people. But, everything in life is challenging. And, thank God I was able to have children. I have a number of young kids. And even though I don't have to go through the challenge of not being able to have children, but having the children is also a big challenge to take care of these young kids. And, they're so dependent on you. Thank God my 4-year-old daughter at least is able to partially dress herself now and Little take care of her younger siblings a little bit. But I'm really stuck now. 4 kids, the oldest is 4. It's really hard. It's really difficult. And I made a video about a year and a half ago. Pesach Ben Azman, and we went to the zoo. I was making a joke, how everyone takes their family to the zoo on Chol HaMoed, and no one even really likes it. The kids don't want to go. The kids want to go home. No one likes it. No one's enjoying it. Everyone just does it because everyone else is doing it. And I was making the point. I had one video I had was like, they had. I was saying that maybe the zoo should be like, you should leave your kids in the zoo, and you come visit them twice a year. Someone will take care of them. You leave your kids in the zoo. That'd be the greatest thing in the world. Of course, I won't really mean this, right? I'm saying hypothetically, like, listen, you need someone to take care of your kids, and I don't know, maybe it's a cruel thing to do, but maybe there should be. I don't know. I wish if it was acceptable by society, I don't think I'd have any problem with this. I think it would be a great thing. You have the kids. Just like you send your kids to nursery or Gan here in Israel, and people watch them. They can watch them 24/7. Until they're bar mitzvah or bar mitzvah, because then they have seichel. You can talk to them. You say it's harder when the kids are older. Smaller kids, smaller problems. Bigger kids, bigger problems. Yeah, you have more emotional problems. They rebel against you, but at least you can have a relationship. So you can enjoy the relationship. To enjoy a relationship with little kids that can't comprehend anything is very difficult. So I really believe that, like the Gemara says over here, that the older ravens, they feed them, meaning after they're 12 years old and 13 years old, right? Before they're 12 years old and 13 years old, you don't feel naturally, you want to take care of your children, but you don't have a relationship with your children, so you're really doing it just, to be a nice person, to take care of children that have no other way of taking it. That's what Takanas Zusha did, to make sure that parents took care of their kids, because really there was very little emotional attachment. However, when the kids grow older, and certainly when they grow, 20s, 30s, they're adults, you can have a really nice relationship with your kids, and you really get, I believe, nachas, enjoyment from your kids. It starts, I think, at the age of bar mitzvah, where they get their own das, their own understanding of the world, their own maturity a little bit. So I think that's what the Gemara is saying. The Gemara really, of course, the Gemara agrees the halacha is like usha hiskinu, right? That midrabanan, you have to financially support your kids 12 and 13. The Gemara is saying after this, the Gemara is proving that the halacha is like usha, because after the age of 12 or 13, then the only recourse, the best recourse, is to humiliate them, just to show them, put them in their place. Even an Orev who's generally cruel to his young children, when they get older and he recognizes them, like Rashi says, of course he has relationships, so you can persuade the guy on a rational level. You can persuade the guy, and say, listen, logically you should want to help your kids out. I guess till the age of 18 or something like that, till they're able to work or be for themselves, fend for themselves. Logically, you should want to do it. That's why persuasion works in that case, verbal persuasion, to say, listen, even a raven would feed his children at this age. They want to have a relationship with their kids. And the Gemara here, the examples the Gemara was talking about is feeding them after the age of 12 or 13. There, you can rationally talk to them, and you can say it makes sense that you should feed your children at that age. Before that, of course, Takana Zusha, no one is Mavatal Takana Zusha. Takana Zusha, you have to feed them in their Rabbanan until the age of 12 or 13. 12 or 13, you have an emotional attachment to them, you have a relationship with them as adults, semi-adults, so then you can verbally persuade the people that they should give to their children until their children are really able, technically, to earn their own living. Hope you enjoyed today's share. See you in the next one.